You're listening to the How to Talk to Girls podcast, where you'll learn step by step how to meet and seduce beautiful women. Whether you're looking for one night of fun, a week-long fling, or a long-term relationship. I'm your host, Trip, and the episode starts now. Hello and welcome to the How to Talk to Girls podcast. I'm your host, Trip Kramer from tripadvice.com. Welcome back to another episode. Today's episode's a little bit different. I actually have an interview here where I was interviewed on another podcast. The podcast is called Dateable. Dateable has been around for about 2.5 years now with hosts Yue Xu and Julie Krafchick. And it's a really cool, very unique podcast all about dating. What they do is they hear real stories from real people of how they make modern dating work. And that is exactly what we did on this podcast. So if you think that you're a nice guy, or if you've ever been put in the friend zone, or you know about the nice guy syndrome, this is going to be a great episode for you. Rarely, I don't think I've ever done this, where I put another podcast interview that is going to be on their podcast, but they were so cool enough to let me put it on this podcast because I thought it was great. I really share some great nuggets of wisdom in terms of, how to break out of that nice guy mentality. What is the nice guy mentality? And Yue and Julie also have some really good things to share here too from the woman's side. So it's very cool, very cool. And if you want to check them out, go to dateablepodcast.com. You can check them out on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and other popular podcast apps. And they have something special for you. If you go to dateablepodcast.com/y-series, and I'll put that in the episode show notes, and enter the code TRIP, you are going to get something special. A special gift, which is one of the premium episodes about the biggest dating conundrums, such as why do people flake or ghost after a great date, and why can't you meet people in real life, and how to solve that. So check that out, dateablepodcast.com/y-series. And then again, enter the code TRIP, TRIPP. It's for free for you from the lovely ladies at Dateable. So we're going to go ahead and check that interview out right now. Hope you enjoy it. And right before we get into that interview, here's a little message from me to you. Hey, it's Trip Kramer. How would you like to be the man that women are naturally drawn to and command the animalistic magnetism that makes women desperately compete to become your lover? It's not enough to attract her. You've got to get her hooked. And that's why I'm inviting you to learn how to create an amazing abundance in your dating life that will make your friends grab you and demand to know what you're doing differently. You'll learn how to turn a female friend into a lover, how to set up a first date that naturally leads to sex. You'll even learn to get your ex-girlfriend or wife back if that's what you want. This program, Hooked, will get you everything you need to enjoy the sex life and dating life you know you deserve. Go to getherhooked.com to learn how to get a woman completely addicted to you. 100% money back guaranteed. Getherhooked.com.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating. Here's a topic that we get written in about all the time, which is this idea of the nice guy. And people always say nice guys finish last. We hear these stories from nice guys writing in saying, I'm such a nice guy. Why doesn't she like me? I'm such a nice guy. Why don't I get the girls that I'm attracted to? Well, today we're going to get to the bottom of this. We have an expert with us, if you will. His name is Trip Kramer. He is an internationally known dating coach and founder of Trip Advice, a men's dating advice company. He's also the creator of the popular YouTube channel Trip Advice, which teaches men how to become more attractive to women, and host of his own weekly podcast entitled How to Talk to Girls. Trip currently resides in Chicago. He's 33 years old, and he's also single and actively going on dates. Hey, Trip, how are you?
You're supposed to say former nice guy, even though you don't know that. I am the former friend-zoned nice guy.
And so shy guy.
And shy guy. I had the trifecta. Shy, nice, and just thrown into the friend zone left and right. So I'm happy to be here.
And you've learned how to confidently meet and attract women. And not only that, but also to teach your learnings to other men who are in the same boat, which I think a lot of men find very relatable. So let's first define what a nice guy is. Trip, I want to hear from you. What do you think a nice guy is?
So the nice guy is an interesting term. I don't literally think that the nice guy is nice. He's more of a people pleaser. He's more manipulative. He's trying to be nice and act nice so he doesn't get rejected and so he doesn't feel shame when he's talking to certain people. So really, I think the nice guy is kind of a dick because he is not being very honest and very true. And that's why I said a second ago that he's kind of manipulative. So that nice guy is doing anything he can to make sure that he doesn't cause a scene and make sure that people don't judge him for anything. And of course, with that, they're going to be very accommodating, which comes off as very nice. But the problem with that is it's not very polarizing. It's not very interesting. It's very boring. Therefore, nice guys usually end up getting thrown into the friend zone or just don't end up building attraction with the girl altogether.
I totally agree. And I think I would add on to that where the term nice guy has almost become a derogatory term. You call someone a nice guy, and that's not a good thing. It's not a compliment. So according to Urban Dictionary, the nice guy is not to be confused with a nice guy, that is a male who is nice. When used as a noun instead of the adjective, nice guys refers to people who believe basic social expectations are currency for sex. So I think there is a little bit of a tit for tat mentality with nice guys where they're like, well, I do these nice things for you. I deserve this and I'm entitled to something back. And if I don't get it back, I have all this resentment built up against you.
Yeah, totally. And I think one of the problems is that nice guys are learning attraction from their parents, from media, TV, movies. And it's not really it's not their fault. This is just what they see, right? They see movies where, the nice guy finishes last, the guy who's just a really good guy, really nice guy, the way that they're trying to be gets the girl, but that's not real life. And, maybe they see their parents and their dads just being like, he's just being a really good guy. He's getting his mom flowers maybe, or just being really nice around the house. And it's just like, oh, that's how attraction works. Well, it's a little bit different when you're in the relationship already. And of course, just when it comes to media, it's completely false. So I think this is how they're learning to attract women, is just being that nice guy. And of course, I think just inherently as humans, I think the default is like we try to be nice and polite for the most part. Like we don't want to be mean. We don't want to step on anyone's toes. So we assume, oh, there's a girl we like. Being nice feels good. We like when people are nice to us. So I'm just going to be very pleasant around her and hope for the best and hope that she likes me. And you know what? Sometimes it works, but a lot of the times it doesn't, especially if you're a guy who is very shy and isn't confident, because you need at least something there to be able to spark that attraction.
And you said it, which is like something Julie and I have talked about too, is being nice should be a basic human quality that everyone has. And if that's your leading quality, there's something wrong because
there's something missing.
There's something missing. You have no other qualities that make you stand out from the rest other than just being a very basic, nice person.
Right. So I guess how do you diagnose if you are a nice guy or a nice guy as the difference?
Well, oh man, that's a good question. How do you diagnose it? Well, I mean, it's more like what's happening, I mean, do you find that, if a guy is listening to this podcast right now and he's not getting anywhere with women, and the way we have described him so far is like, oh, that's kind of what I'm doing, if he even is talking to girls. So if he is, and he realizes, yeah, I'm just being like really polite all the time and really just like agreeable. That's another one. That's kind of like a big trait of the nice guy. Very agreeable. Like, she says she likes, I don't know, Ed Sheeran, and you think he's okay or you don't really like him, but you're like, oh yeah, I like him too. And you just like, think of some songs that he's played and you like it, and you're just agreeing to that, and you're doing things for her. Like you're just like going out of your way to like do favors for her, and she never even asked you. And I want to add this in too also, is that here's the big problem, okay? The problem is guys are thinking, oh, like if the nice guy doesn't get the girl, well then you got to go the opposite, right? That would seem intuitively, you're like, yes, okay, nice doesn't work, so asshole works.
Yep.
But that's not really what's going on here. It has nothing to do, and you guys mentioned this briefly, it's not about whether you're being nice or an asshole or mean or whatever. It's just about how the nice guy is just a label for the actions that you're doing in terms of being agreeable and coming off like that. So it's not about, oh, I got to be a dick to this girl. You don't have to be a dick. You don't have to be mean, but you do have to be somewhat polarizing.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Because I think like at the end of the day, most women, I don't speak for all, don't want an asshole. They do want a nice, kind person.
Broken women want assholes.
But they
That's
don't
true.
want someone they can walk all over or that doesn't have respect for themselves.
Right, exactly.
I feel like you have to stand out in someone's mind, and being a nice guy doesn't make you stand out. You're kind of just there. You're kind of like, oh, I can always rely on this guy to be there for me, or we can always hang out, or he's not going to offend me. But he's never going to be top of mind for me. The guy that's going to be top of mind for me remembers something unique about me and acts upon it, or actually makes a move or shows some sort of initiative. But the nice guy never shows initiative. He's hovering, always just waiting for the chance to have something happen. But he's not the one taking initiative.
Yeah, I like that. He's reactive versus proactive.
So
He's just kind of letting her take the lead, and he just kind of stands back and just reacts to kind of whatever's going on in the conversation or this pseudo friendship that's going on, so.
Yep. So as a former nice guy yourself, how did you get out of this trap?
Well, first was awareness. I was like, oh, wow, yeah, this is what's going on. I've always been this very agreeable, accommodating, low opinionated, easygoing, pushover kind of guy. Just kind of like and that didn't get me anywhere. And then I learned about the nice guy. It's not something that I came up with. Like, this is a term in society. And I learned about it. I learned that it's not what women are looking for. They want someone who's more in control, more assertive, more dominant, because nice guys are not dominant at all. They're very passive, very beta. So I really learned it's not about learning to not be nice. It's more just about, let's learn those alpha male type qualities that women are attracted to. Because I like what you said earlier is like, I think that niceness is a commodity, right? It's like, there's a lot of nice people out there. Even though sometimes you hear women complain like, where are all the nice guys? Like, there's plenty of nice guys out there. They're just not meeting the right ones. And a lot of those nice guys, the guys that listen to our podcasts, they're not being assertive enough to go and approach. Right. So they're not meeting, but there's plenty. Niceness is easy. That's like default. Like, of course you're going to be with, no one says you shouldn't say I want to be with someone nice. Like, duh, you want to be with someone nice.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Right. It's like, yes, like it shouldn't even be a quality that you're looking for. It should just be. So anyways, what I, learned to do is learn to step more into some of those masculine qualities. So I learned when I'm talking to a girl, maybe for the first time, is to flirt more, to be playful, to tease a little bit, to say something that might be on my mind that in the past I might filter and say, no, don't say that. And just say it anyways. You know what? Sometimes it gets you into trouble, but sometimes it doesn't. And so you got to take those risks. And I'm not saying it's not about being mean to her or making fun of her, but just being more playful in the conversation and not being so scared if you say something that's different from her, that's disagreeing from something that she says, So I learned to kind of tap into that. And that took a lot of practice. And that was kind of hard. And also what happens is this is not just about how you're acting around women. This is an everyday thing.
Absolutely.
There's a nice guy right now who's labeled the nice guy and he's like, oh shit, this is me. He's probably doing this with everyone, with his family, his coworkers, with his friends, with his colleagues, whatever. It's like, this is this guy in a nutshell. So it's about really kind of flipping the mentality, stepping more into your dominant, hey, I'm cool with who I am, and if you don't like it, peace kind of mentality, and bringing that into all areas of your life. I think a lot of guys turn into the nice guy because they're not really confident in themselves. They think if they show the real them, they're going to get rejected. So they filter that out and they put on this other facade, which is then what we're calling the nice guy.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I've definitely dated a few nice guys where they're kind of like, okay, what do you want for dinner? And I would say something and they'd be like, oh, that sounds great. But I've always wanted a little something more, which is give me your opinion. Even if it's not what I want, I still want to hear what you want. And a lot of times nice guys don't have a solidified identity for me to respect, really. They're just there to tag along. And sometimes it's good to have an opinion, even if it's an opposing opinion, because at least it shows that you are a solidified identity.
Yeah.
I like that. Also, I want to add in is I think that, like one of the biggest complaints, it's so funny. Like sometimes it's so easy to be an attractive guy. Like one of the biggest complaints I hear from women is just like the whole process of setting up the first date is sometimes very frustrating for women. Like and I'm sure you guys can attest to this. Like it's like the guy just doesn't make it happen. Like he's like kind of like you guys are like, oh, where would you like to eat? Or he'll pick a place, but he won't pick the time, or he'll pick a time, but like not the place, or she's just sitting there waiting. Like women want to be led. Okay, they want to be led. They want to be led in the conversation when they're first met. They want to be led to the first date. They want to be led to the first kiss. They want to be led to sex. They want to be the one who's proposed to. Not because, and I try to tell guys this, like some guys are like, well, why do we have to do all the work and women suck and all this stuff? It's like, no. It's not that they're lazy. It's not that they think they're better, so the man has to do everything. They need the display of masculinity. This is what triggers the attraction. And so one of those qualities is leading and dominance. And that just happens to be, okay, well, you're going to be the one who has to make the first moves. Just like the woman has her femininity that she has to display when she's around a guy, right? So everyone's doing their part. They're a little bit different. And the guy has to understand that you need to take control and be in the lead. And sometimes it's just like, it's very easy. It's a lot easier than they think, right? Just, okay, you got a girl who's interested. You met her at the bar. You met her on a Tinder, wherever. And it just pick a place, pick a time, pick a date, set it up, boom, tell her where to go, what to do, and she'll go. And if she doesn't, she was never interested. And if she does, you did the right thing.
100% agree, because I think that's like where so many men can get like a leg up, because it's like women just do appreciate someone that kind of takes action. I think what I've seen with some supposed nice guys is they almost like they feel like they're like bugging the woman, or like they don't want to like make a move because they feel like it's like invading their personal space. Like they're almost like so concerned about not coming off too strong that they don't come off at all. How would you what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. Really good point. I just think guys are just not understanding how this all works. What you're saying is that they're very conditioned. From the moment we enter preschool, at least in America, we are conditioned to sit and be quiet and react. And if we have something to say, we need to raise our hands. We're not in control. Okay, here's your test. Your test is on Friday. Take the test. Don't get the good grade, you're going to fail. Get the good grade, we'll allow you to go to the next grade. It's just like you are, your parents telling you what to do. So you're in a very reactive state your whole life up until you're 18. And then you're like, wait a minute, now I got to totally do this opposite thing where I'm asserting myself into situations. It feels very unnatural. It's very unnatural, especially for a guy who did grow up shy and maybe not so popular and maybe had some insecurities or shame around his childhood, right? It's very difficult to just all of a sudden be like, oh wait, it's counterintuitive. It's like I gotta be this assertive guy, but isn't that too much? Like, doesn't that bother people and women? And no one wants people in their face. And when we're on the subway and in an Uber pool, it's like, don't talk to the person next to you. Keep to yourself. Keep your hands to yourself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I guess it starts with the awareness. If you're listening to the words that we're all saying here on the podcast, understand that's not how it is when it comes to attraction, and start to slowly assert yourself in the situations because women want it. I mean, you guys should you say it. I'm the guy. You tell me, is this what you want? Do you want the guy to assert himself?
I would challenge this notion a little bit, just because gender roles are changing in modern dating. And we also, Julie and I live in San Francisco. So I don't hear this as much anymore from women. But what I do hear from women is, I need a guy who's open to communicating his needs to me. So instead of being like the guy needs to take the lead on dates and all of that, that's to each his own. Some people do like that, and some people don't need that. But what I do hear women need is for a guy to say, you know what, I prefer to be communicated in this way. How do you prefer to be communicated in? I prefer to plan dates in this way. How do you prefer for dates to be? It's about open communication. But the problem with nice guys is that they just kind of wait for the woman to tell him what to do and dictate what to do. And for the woman, it's like, okay, I'm done leading this relationship or leading where this is going. So then the nice guy becomes friend zoned.
Yeah.
I think that's where the problem is that lack of communication about your own needs.
I don't know. I do personally like when a guy's just like, I like you. This is where we're going. Like all of that is very, I think can be very attractive. I agree. Not every woman needs all of that. So it's sometimes if that isn't your perspective, then maybe you just need to find someone that doesn't need that as much as others. But I do agree with what you just said, Yue. It's like that lack of anything is the biggest problem.
When you're Switzerland, people forget about you. You have to have an opinion. You have to be a person. In my mind, if someone were like, oh, describe your friend Mike to me, I don't want to lead with, oh, Mike is a nice guy. I want to say, oh, Mike really likes running and he's very passionate about his family. I want to lead with something else other than he's just a nice guy.
But I think back to what Tripp was saying, I mean, I don't think that's like, it's never going to like hurt if the woman's also into you, like hearing someone that's like vocal about how they feel about you and making those plans, like it's only going to like give you more of a leg up in the game, I think.
Yeah. And another thing too is, we can talk about the gender roles for a second. It got really confusing.
So confusing.
Like this isn't about equality. It's not like, well, the man picks the place to go because he's greater than the woman. You know what I mean? It's like, This is like, yes, men and women are equal, like, across the board. This isn't about who's better, who's worse, who's capable, who's not capable. It's just talking about what actually sparks attraction. You know what I mean? Like, no, you're not gonna boss her around. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you're not gonna be like, if she's like, for example, okay, if you're like, hey, I know this great pasta place, called whatever, Mario's. Let's go there 8 p.m. Great spot. And she responds and she's like, I'm actually would be really in the mood for sushi. Mm-hmm. You're not going to say, no, woman, we're going to it's like, okay, wait a minute. Like, that's just, now you're just being a dick.
Yeah,
right?
but I think
there's the fine line is. It's like, oh, okay, cool. She said sushi. Well, do you like sushi? If you don't, you might want to retort back. Don't be a nice guy and say, oh, okay, we'll do sushi, even though you hate it.
Yeah.
Right? No, say, actually, I'm not a big fan of sushi. Well, what else do you like? Maybe we can agree on something else.
Yes.
Or if you do like sushi and she said it, you can say, perfect, love sushi. I know a great spot. And then instead of asking her where to go, you just pick it.
Yeah, I love that.
It's just what you said earlier. It's like when it goes to die is when it's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Or like there's no time or anything. So the woman's wondering if like there's actually a date that's even happening. And I think it's actually the reverse too. If like a woman was just like, yep, sure, like sounds good. I think that would also kind of put her in that nice territory that would probably get old fast as well.
You know what women love? You know what masculine quality women love? They love decisiveness.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's a turn on. They love when a guy is decisive. Because that says that he can be a protector and a provider, which is primal things that women are attracted to. It's like he can be the guy who's going to be able to raise the children. I know it seems crazy. Guys listening, they're like, so picking dinner is going to say to the woman that you're able to like raise the children. It's like, she's not thinking that on a very logical level, but it's the character traits that you're displaying. It's like, if you're wishy-washy and we're to go to freaking dinner, like, how is it going to be when we're making really difficult decisions together? You know what I mean? Like, she needs someone there who's going to be like, let's do this. This is what we're going to do and make smart, good decisions. So it all starts from the moment you go over and approach her and say hello.
So there's this other breed of nice guy that I've run into that I'd love to get your thoughts on. It's like they're passive in some ways, but not necessarily like accommodating all the time. But it's almost like I'm a nice guy, so I should be with a really hot girl. I should be with like a pretty girl, and I'm not finding a girl. It's like almost this like sense of entitlement. Have you seen this with any men, and how would you kind of guide them through that?
Yeah, I see it a little bit. Like on my YouTube channel, I see a lot of the comments. So I see people who say that kind of thing. And, what I tell them, it's just, again, kind of repeating myself, is like, well, sorry, man, that's just not the way it works. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just not how attraction works. So you can sit here and complain all day and say you deserve that. I can sit here and say, well, I deserve a six pack because I'm a good guy.
Right.
And, I work hard, and it's like, well, that has nothing to do with that. It's like, you want a six pack, you got to eat right and go to the gym and make it happen. Those are just the rules of the six pack. And then there's rules of attraction. Like, this is just how it works. So yeah, I mean, those guys who are entitled, also, I should say a lot of those guys who are entitled to that, they're not the guys who are listening to these podcasts, because they feel so entitled.
That's very true.
They're not trying to get help at all because they feel they don't need it. So it's rare that I come into contact, but those people do exist. And then I say, okay, well, good luck. It's not how it's going to work for you. Entitlement doesn't mean you deserve it.
I like that. Like, it's like no other area of life just by being a good person gives you everything. So
yeah, sorry. This is the world we live in. This is the world we live in. Like, this is life. Being nice. It's, it does go far in some ways, but you need more than that,
We had a previous guest on our show, Madison Perry, who said there's a difference between being nice and being kind. And to me, I feel like being nice, sometimes it's like you're forcing yourself. Okay, I know you don't like this person, but be nice. Okay, like we've all said that to a friend. Just be nice. It's like you can force yourself into that state, but being kind comes from the heart, and it's a state of always being kind. And there's a huge difference between, oh, I'm just being nice because I'm hoping to get some reaction back or some behavior back, versus being kind where you're just generous with your heart. You're just giving out that kindness without expecting anything reciprocating.
Yep. So that's a good segue to some takeaways. What else would you say are some of your takeaways from this conversation, Yue?
I think it's just, we're not saying nice guys stop being nice. Tripp said that in the very beginning. Girls don't like douchebags either. And although nice guys will always say like, oh, of course they like the jerks and of course they like the douchebags. No, that's not the case. We don't like that either. It's just that niceness isn't a leading quality for anybody. Niceness should be a basic quality. Everyone should be nice. If that's your leading quality, then you should look for other qualities that make you stand out. I would also say that I don't think there is anything wrong with being a nice person, but you also have to figure out like what do you naturally want to do for people? That kindness, like from your heart. What do you naturally want to do for this girl that you really like? Versus what you feel like you should do to please her. Mm-hmm. Those are two very different things. And what you want to do for her should also be in line with what your interests are as well. Not like against your own, like I don't, like your example, Tripp, I don't like sushi, but I'm going to do this to please her. Well, guess what? People lose respect for you if you do something just because they want to do it and it's against what you want to do.
Yeah. I think my biggest takeaway is like, there doesn't have to be this like victim trap that falls with being a nice guy. Like you can do stuff that really doesn't have to do with any other aspect of you. That's just really showing your personality. Like Tripp was talking about, of making those dinner plans or like stepping up and telling someone that you're into them, like things that assert you, that really has nothing to do with changing your looks or changing your job or any other quality. And I think like, I think this has come throughout this whole thing, is like, even outside of dating, just having a personality, having your interests that you have, having defining characteristics outside of just being nice is important for your whole well-being in all aspects of life. And at the end of the day, like a really quality woman isn't looking for someone that's a doormat that they could just walk all over. They're looking for an equal. They're looking for someone that has a personality, that brings some stuff to the table, and being just nice isn't going to do that.
And back to our original conversation about how you can self-diagnose if you are in this nice guy trap. One of the main symptoms is that you start feeling resentment for women. If you feel this huge resentment for women because you've done nice things for them and you haven't received what you deserve back, then you are in this nice guy trap. That's how you can diagnose yourself. And for our original topic of do nice guys finish last, I would say no, nice guys don't finish last because they were never part of the race to begin with. You can't finish first or last.
I like that.
I like that. That's good.
Any other takeaways that you have to add?
Or give us some advice, Trip, because I think we still need some tools for men to get out of this mentality of nice guy into like, how do I become something more than just this?
Well, there's a few things you could do. One, sit down and really think about, you don't have to think about what your opinions are, but what you think, the world should look like, or just, your thoughts, but practice being aware of what those are and asserting those into conversation with anybody, with women, with people. Don't be afraid to speak up and say the things that you want to say. And I always say, treat everything like an experiment. Like right now, whatever you're doing isn't working. So you got to try something different. You got to be okay with being polarizing. If you sit down and watch a lot of like stand-up comedy, if you watch male stand-up comedy, okay? Watch guys doing stand-up comedy. Watch some alpha males on TV. Like if you can't surround yourself in person with these people, surround it by watching it on TV or on YouTube. And you can kind of see like what they're doing. And it's kind of interesting. I think when we watch something, in that moment, we kind of like, we connect to it and we feel like, okay, like you almost walk away like, oh yeah, like you get that vibe of that person. And so that's an easy way to kind of take on that more maybe alpha mentality, is just by surrounding yourself by it. So watch some of that stuff, and then honestly, I think just going up and starting conversations with women is going to be one of the most important things you could do to practice being assertive. Because right now, nice guy who's watching this is probably just being reactive. If a woman is at a party that he gets introduced to, like he'll maybe have a conversation with them, or, it's easy to swipe on Tinder because you just sit at home doing that and it doesn't take much, or I don't know, maybe you like this girl at work only because she happens to be sitting in the cubicle next to you. It's like none of that stuff is really going to train you to be that assertive, proactive kind of guy. So go out there and start approaching and talking to women in person. And that activity alone can really get you to that next level of practicing being more confident and being okay with like, hey, I'm going to take control now. And I'm not going to let things happen to me. I'm going to try to make things happen.
So I could see that being really daunting for someone that's been this nice guy historically. What is some like tips of opening a conversation? Let's say you're at a bar and you see two girls that you find attractive. What would you say to them?
I'd go up to them. You can really say anything. It doesn't really matter. But if you're just like really just stuck, you don't know what to say, just memorize this line. Go up to them and say, hey, I'm Name. So, hey, I'm Trip. And then just say, are you from wherever? So you see a couple girls say, like, hey, I'm Trip. Are you guys from Chicago? Just like that. Done.
I think, that's a good, because I think people like a lot of times think they have to come up with this clever line and opener. And then a lot of times just saying hey or opening the conversation like you just did is enough if the women are like even moderately interested.
Yeah, I would do that. Or that's like default, like if you really have nothing to say, but just see what's going on in the situation. You might have a good opener depending on like what they're doing, or maybe they're drinking something interesting, or maybe she's walking her dog. It's like if something's very obvious that you can kind of comment on, something she's doing, holding, or wearing. I always say doing, holding, wearing. Maybe that comes to mind very quickly, then open up with that. But if you're like, I don't know, she's not doing much, she's not holding anything, and she's not wearing anything interesting, what do I do? Hey, I'm Trip. Are you from Chicago?
So what are a couple other ones? Do you have any? Like just basic ones?
During the day, you can go up and say, hey, I noticed you over here. You look very nice. I'm Trip.
I would die for a comment like that.
Yeah.
I'm a guy.
Right?
I would just be like,
Seriously.
oh my gosh, where have you been all my life?
Seriously.
Thanks for being normal.
Isn't
Yeah.
that just simple? I'm not like, yo, what's up, girl? Look at those sexy legs,
Yeah,
And
exactly.
not that any guys listening to this are going to be doing that, but
Well, they're probably just doing nothing. That's
exactly, they're doing nothing. Hey, I noticed you look very nice. I'm tripping, but use your own name. Or here's another one. Like this one's okay. This one's a little bit more line-y, but it works pretty well. Just go up to a girl and say, if it's during the day, and say, hey, I'm looking for a coffee shop around here that's not Starbucks. Do you have any suggestions?
I like
Oh,
that.
that's a good one.
It's a good one because that's just like super natural and yeah.
Yeah, it gets you talking about maybe coffee, and it gets her kind of thinking. And people love to give suggestions of places, and
Yeah.
and then she might be in a rush and sorry, I don't know. Okay, bye. Okay,
If you
no big
were
deal.
at like a bar too, you
Yeah.
could just go up and be like, hey, like, is there any other good bars in this area or something? Just like,
Yeah. Is there a bar here that's not so bro-y? Let's just say that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anything like that works. Just get yourself in there and do it a few times. Do it a few times a week, and you'll see a massive change. You really will.
And maybe not even start with girls or girls
Yeah.
that you're attracted to. Just start with anybody, any
Yeah.
stranger.
Oh yeah, anybody. I tell guys, if that's really so scary for you, what you can do to warm up. So there's some warm ups you can do. Warm ups are so helpful. I always say to the guys I'm coaching, you're not better than your warm ups. Some guys think like, oh, I don't need to do warm ups. I'll just do it. It's like it's going to be very hard and take you a long time. So you warm up, and that really helps get those what I call social muscles flowing, and it makes it easier to approach a girl you're very attracted to. So some warm ups, a really easy one is just asking directions, asking, do you know where there's a Starbucks around here? Don't even try to get in a conversation, and ask anyone, guy, girl, doesn't matter. Just say, hey, do you know there's a Starbucks around here? Or my phone died. Do you know where there's a Starbucks around here? Or do you know where? Make up a street in your town. Like, do you know where whatever avenue is? Okay, cool, thanks. So that just gets things going. And then a step above that, this one's a little bit scarier, but just any woman over the age of 18, and it can even be an old lady, and just go up to her and say, hey, I just want to say you look very nice today. She's going to say thank you, and then you walk away. You don't need to continue conversation. Walk away. So that's a little bit more. Do 5 of those in a row. It's going to be kind of scary. Do 5 of those in a row. You're going to be ready to go. I promise you. On the 6th one, you're going to be like, all right, where's the next girl that I'm like, I really actually want to talk to and make something happen. So get through those kind of initial ones, warm up a little bit, and then you'll be solid. And if you have insane, actual clinical social anxiety, you might want to see a therapist.
Oh, yeah.
So you're a guy that's complaining that you're not getting girls. Instead of just defaulting and say, I'm entitled, I'm a nice guy, do all this stuff and put some action behind it.
Get yourself in the race, right? So
exactly.
I like this idea of new thoughts lead to new results. So Trip, in one of the interviews that you did, you said one of your favorite quotes is, successful people do what unsuccessful people won't do. And I think this kind of...
you went deep. Where did you Oh my God, that's an old quote. I used to say all the time. I still love it. Where did you hear that?
In one of the interviews you did, like a long time ago. And it stuck with me because I think it applies to dating too. The new you, the one that is going to be more successful dating, will do what the old you won't do.
Mm-hmm.
So next time you're in a situation, think about what would the old me not do in this situation, and go do it.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Here's the reality of life that I've learned up until 33 years old is that shit's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to make a lot of money. It's hard to go to school. It's hard to meet a really awesome, high quality woman. It's hard to maintain great friendships. It's hard to stay fit. It's all hard. And I'm not saying that it's hard, give up. I'm saying that this is the reality. Please just live in reality and just understand that stuff is hard. And so I like to say that to guys as a way of encouragement, not discouragement, because it helps me in my life. I go, oh yeah, I forget that this is not supposed to be easy. And then it keeps me going.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I have a bad day, or something doesn't go right, or business isn't going well for a couple weeks, or I get rejected by girls too. And you're just like, oh, fuck. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's right. This isn't easy. And then it comforts me. It's like, oh yeah, this is supposed to happen. This idea I like to talk about also of chaos and order. Life is just full of chaos and order every day on a micro level and a macro level. There's good days, good weeks, bad weeks, good years, bad years. And that's just the name of the game. Nothing is going to go right all the time. Nothing is going to go wrong all the time. And you just have to look at it and say, okay, that's fine. Today, I'm in chaos right now. Like, oh, I'm just in chaos right now. It will pass. It will pass and things will go and things will be fine. Oh, you know what? I'm in a happy moment right now. Oh, that's nice. You know what? It's not going to last forever, but I'm going to enjoy it while it's here. Things are nice and in order. This is good. And that's just like the ebb and flow of life. But the thing is I don't want to say that and like, well, just let chaos and order kind of happen to you. You still got to be proactive in your life to make things happen. And if life is really, really easy for you, you're doing something wrong.
Agreed.
What is it? Anything worth having doesn't come easy, or like the quotes around that. So 100% on all that you just said.
I love it. I love it. And like anything in life, dating is also a new experiment, like you said. So experiment with different tactics, a different mentality, different ways of approach. You never know what could happen, but at least you're in the game to try something
and
new.
It'll help you grow to not just be a yes man in all aspects of life.
Yeah. So to all the nice guys out there, thanks for being nice. But you know what? You got to find something else. There's got to be something.
Nice is the baseline.
Nice is the baseline. Find something else that makes you stand out. Kind. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Kind, assertive, raw, opinionated, and
that still makes you a nice guy, not the nice guy.
Exactly. Be authentic. Well, thanks so much, Trip. For anybody interested in Trip's advice, you can go to Tripp Advice, that's TRIPP advice.com, and check out his podcast, How to Talk to Girls. Julie and I will be on that podcast too. So just a little plug for all of us involved. Any other ways people can reach you, Trip?
Well, that's it. Listen, if you want coaching and you want to, be that assertive guy that you're trying to be, so you get results in your dating life and you're dating high quality, beautiful women, well, just go to trippadvice.com/coaching if you're looking to do that, and you can fill out the application there. And if you want to, see more advice kind of in action, check out my YouTube channel as well. But if we're listening to the podcast right now, so at the very least, go to How to Talk to Girls podcast, and there's like over 200 episodes there. So you'll get more advice on how to meet girls.
Absolutely. Cool. And also, people, if you want to get Trip's individual advice, you got to book early, because it took Julie and I, 8 months to get Trip on the phone here. So he's a very busy man. All right. So get yourself on the list ASAP. Thank you so much, Trip, for talking to us. And we enjoy this topic all the time. For listeners, if you're a nice guy and you want to find out, you want to talk about more ways where you can get out of this mentality, where you've come out of the nice guy mentality, we want to interview you on the show too. We love to have you as a guest. So reach out to us, dateablepodcast.com. On that note, let's wrap this up. On the count of 3, we're going to say stay dateable. 1, 2, 3. Stay dateable.